Hey y'all, I'm Allison Asarch from Nashville, Tennessee.
Hey, I'm Sean Fraser from the Ritzy Kids.
Hunters, this is Johnny from Rail Motor.
Hey, it's Shane from Blind Season.
Hey, it's Rob Stanier, and you can check out my music on all the streaming platforms.
Check out my latest music on all the streaming sites.
Check out my debut album on all streaming platforms.
Check out our new debut album.
Check us out on Spotify and Apple Music. And you're listening to our friends, Braggy and Curly.
And my favorite bands from Australia.
My two favourite podcasters,
Braggy and Curly.
Braggy and Curly.
On the
Unfiltered and Undiscovered Podcast.
And Rossi.
Let's get started. What do you reckon? So, Hey there, everyone. It's Curly here, and welcome to episode 159 of the Unfiltered Undiscovered Podcast. We have a returning guest. Yes, it does happen. We do get them back again every now and again. We've got David Kirk Patrick from Two Tone Pony joining us again tonight. David, thanks for joining us. I'll get back to you in just a minute because I've always got to introduce my two co-hosts. We've got Rossi from Sydney, and Braggy's continuing this tour of Australia. He's tonight in Bowral. So how are you, boys?
Very well. Pretty good.
Very well. So Rossi was just sharing his joy for Chinese opera just a little bit off air. So
yeah, it's interesting. I learned stuff, and it was fascinating, and they really did a beautiful job, and I found it absolutely fascinating. It's just it went for 5 hours.
Yeah, and I guess if it's just the karaoke, like if I was when you first said it, I was assuming, how do you mic up a shamisen, or how do you mic up a, didn't get to do that.
Whack a 57 in front of it, and off you go.
Okay.
All right. And of course, the footy's heating up. The NRL is heating up. Of course, the Dragons are back in the 8. So I don't know how long for. Roosters continue to just push aside contenders. Rossi, you must be pretty happy with what's happening with the Chooks.
Look, we're kind of used to it as these supporters,
And did I see that Norwood got the minor premiership?
Yeah, Norwood's on top of the ladder, finished top of the ladder. I'm a bit excited when I get back. There'll be finals.
Yeah.
And our arch rival Sturt, bloody Dave Graney's mob.
Yeah.
They're finished second, so I reckon. And they have their kind of same wins and losses as us. So I think that's the way it should, unless there's an upset, that's the way it should pan out.
It should finish.
It'll be on for young and old. Excellent.
And David, you would have been pretty unhappy with the Wallabies showing on the weekend.
Ooh.
It hasn't been good. I don't know. But the last time I spoke to you, I actually went to the World Cup last year.
Yeah.
It was,
that's what you were talking about, yeah.
Yeah, it was a pretty hard experience, apart from the good food and the wine in France. But apart from that, I know it was a bit of a, little honeymoon start with the first 3, games against Georgia and Wales, and then a bit of a reality check, isn't it? Yeah, against the big boys. And the South African team, they're absolute freaking huge. Amazing.
We just seem to be slipping, don't we? The Wallabies just dropping down.
I mean, rugby union is what? It's probably 4th, on the pecking order. There's AFL, there's the rugby league, and then there's soccer. Realistically, I think rugby union, unfortunately, has just dropped down, and we're playing against countries that rugby union is number 1. New Zealand, South Africa, it's number 1. So it is harder to compete.
Yeah.
Look, to be fair, the Roosters really feel sorry for rugby union, so we're going to send you an outside back.
Yeah, right.
Joey Sawali.
And train our coffers,
That's right.
But the girls are going all right, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, I was devastated, actually. Well, I was watching the rugby sevens here, obviously, at the Olympics, and really thought that the girls were just powering along. They absolutely looked fantastic. And then one day they have a bad day, which is the semi-finals and the bronze playoff. It just was uncharacteristic. I think, look, a lot of younger players there. I think come LA, I think they'll be really giving it a good shot for the gold again.
Yeah, that was it. That was very disappointing, that game, wasn't it?
Oh, look, it was gut-wrenching. And of course, my other, I actually initially went to school in Victoria, so I'm a long-term Richmond supporter. So it hasn't been a great season in the AFL either. And the last, great team with Dusty retiring. So it hasn't been too good on any of the fronts for my teams. No.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so good.
Welcome to my life as a Dragon supporter. So, hey, before we throw to you, Braggy, you need to talk Soccer Watch Friday night.
Okay.
How was the EP launch, or it's an EP, isn't it?
It's an EP, it's 4 tracks.
Songs, 10 minutes.
It's great. They killed it. They really did well. I'm still recovering from it, actually. There's so many young people coming out to see shows, and that's the heartening thing, right?
Yeah.
They put a big crowd of young people, and the front 2 rows were screaming girls wearing pocket watch T-shirts. I kind of liked that. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
I've not seen that. I haven't seen that since the 80s, I reckon.
Yeah. And three young guys playing guitar, bass, and drums, and young people out there, crazy. That's good.
Yeah, it was really, really good, and the record's been really well received, and they've been hearing from people overseas a lot, which is really interesting. People in other countries, and that's the modern world. You put something out, and like I just before it came in, I had to respond to someone who's trying to buy the record in France and South America, and we're sending T-shirts all over the world at the moment. It's crazy.
And anything from like Triple J or any of the local.
Triple J give us nothing, mate. Triple J give us nothing. I think we're too cool for the hip, too straight for the hips, and too hip for the straights.
I like it.
Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, like you just do what you do, and you just do you, and don't worry about anybody else. That's all you can do, I reckon.
Yeah, it'll come to you. Make it come to you. Yeah,
that's right.
You can't. But
I have another bit of news from Adelaide, Curly, that we talked about while we were off air. Is and I've mentioned it a few times on the show. There's a popular venue in Adelaide called the Crown and Anchor.
Yep,
better known as the Cranker. And they were going to get shut down because the developer was going to develop the building and knock everything down. And they protested. There was at one point there was a 5,000 strong march to Parliament House, and finally the government, the state government, the Labor Party, obviously they're coming to take the credit for it, but I think there's backroom deals being done, and the Cranker's going to live. They're still going to develop it, but the Cranker stays there. And it was really interesting to hear the Premier talk. He said exactly what we all say, all us musos, and he said, look, if you're going to develop somewhere in the city and there's a live music venue, then you're going to have to expect live music. That's it.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And so that's I'm not sure of the whole deal at the moment, but the Cranker will stay. So that's good because it has live music 5 nights, 6 nights a week. That's people power.
Great news. Great news. All right. So, David, let's talk about Born on the Road, your album. So, I'm going to pass it over to you, Braggy, to kick it off.
As we talked about, Curly, I think you said very nostalgic album. Like a lot of the songs, we're talking about going back straight away. A life well lived. Was it a conscious effort to make it a nostalgic album, or they just came together and that was, what you're thinking about?
No, it was never a conscious thing. I guess when I first started writing that, when you're trying to think of topics that you might write about, or for me, often the music comes first, and sometimes the music sparks a memory or a style or something like that. So A Life Well Lived, as I've said before, that came out of a speech I gave introduced Mother Joy McKean to a Lifetime Award, and I just thought the phrase was good. Then I ran with it in a different vein, the imaginary next door neighbour. Going back was probably triggered by driving down the Boulevard back to my father's original, where he grew up in the Nulla region, in from Kempsey, and I remember him saying that he was very anxious about when he returned there after he made the decision to leave the family farm, and he had a step brother who said, "Look, you've got to do this. You've got to take your chance. I'll look after the farm. I'll look after your mum." And he always felt, I think, a tinge of guilt about that. And so that's where this idea, I thought, how was he feeling when he drove back? And then I take it from an idea and I try to make it a bit more general, for the concept more general. Yeah. And of course, really, the title track, Born on the Road, is the most personal song I wrote, because that was just, just looking back on those memories of me literally being born while my parents were travelling. And 1 week later, the mum stayed in Cairns and Dad continued up the road to Cairns with the show. And we joined up a week later. And 7 years later, I travelled for 7 years in a caravan. So it's good subject matter, and it's a homage to those. So those three songs. Whereas the album, though, has got a wide variety of stuff that isn't necessarily attached to my past or attached to that part of the past. It's a lot of the other things that we all go through.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those who are listening that may not know, David's parents were in fact Australian country legend Slim Dusty and Joy McKean. So
it's true, isn't it? If you've got a dream, though, it's yours, and you've got to do what you got to do, and you got to leave people behind, or you have to make sacrifices.
It's a pretty common thing. I mean, you only got to look at anyone who really makes it to the top, the pinnacle. I mean, it's only the top couple of percent that do it. It doesn't matter whether it's music, sport people, painters, whatever. They are totally, totally dedicated to where they're getting. And sometimes that means making tough decisions and leaving some people behind who have helped you, but you've got to move on to the next level, and sometimes those people can't do it for you. I guess how you do that is important, but you've got to be so singularly minded to make it in that sort of field. If you're going to be the top of the pile in music, sport, whatever, you have to be so singular minded that it's. I think it takes an incredible amount of willpower to do that. People sometimes think it's selfish, but I think it's actually extremely difficult to do that.
I agree.
I agree with you totally. Well, one thing I can tell you is that I've got a lot of mates who in the 1980s toured as your dad's road crew. And a man, they tell me, like the guys, I actually had the anniversary tour T-shirt because we swapped T-shirts with them when we meet them in the middle of nowhere, right? And those guys could not speak more highly of your dad's organisation and how they were treated and how it all went. And that amongst road crew, as you know, they don't whinge much.
No. You know where that comes from is because when Slim and Joy started, they were the road crew.
I get it.
I remember, as I said, I remember even as a 6-year-old, they would roll into town. They'd be doing some little godforsaken country hall somewhere, right? They'd roll up there. It'd be dirty, it'd be full of rubbish. They'd have to clean it out.
Wow.
They their own chair. They put all the chairs up. Then they put their pee up, blah, blah, blah. They have the show. Then they pack it all up, and they had to get cleaner than when they came there.
Yeah.
So when they got to the stage of having road crew, they valued them and they respected them because they knew the hard yakka and they knew how important it was for them. And I think, sometimes people just waltz in and they've got a road crew and they think that's the norm and they just do everything for them. But I really love getting that feedback, Rossi, because it just shows you the respect they showed for people.
Absolutely. And the boys, and I still see some of those boys and they still talk about it as one of the great experiences of their life and an honour to work for your family.
Oh, that's great to hear.
So tell me, David, how the songs came to, because we have conversations all the time with people, albums, streaming, what's the music, but how did you come to frame the album as such and the song flow? Was that something that you worked on? Was it consensus through the band? Was there a flow that you wanted to achieve?
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously, as the main songwriter, you have a little bit probably more sway. But the good thing this album is that there are 2 songs on this album by the other songwriter in the band, Ian Rhodes, who plays guitar, mandolin, harmonica, and he also co-wrote one of the songs with me. We recorded these in 2 batches. And we did the first 6 songs and we did the whole album with Rod McCormack here on the Central Coast. Absolute premier.
We can tell by the sound, the quality of the recording, Rossi. Yeah,
it's fun. And like any country record I hear that sounds good, so I go, so we're working with Rod McCormack.
yeah. And the only other song that we recorded was with Matt Fell. So we're in pretty good company. So yeah. And I would say, I can tell the difference between the first batch of songs we recorded and the second batch. There's no doubt about that, because there was a good 6 or 7 months between the 2. And I think we had newer a lot of the band. And to be honest, we've certainly front loaded the album. Is the first, and I still think terms, side A and side B, but the first 6 songs, I think 5 out of the first 6 songs have been recorded in the second batch, and I think there was a more unified sound then, and we wanted to have that. It's look, they're the songs we had. We've got more songs. We had songs we decided not to record that we're still going to record. It's not an easy thing to make a decision to drop a song. They're
your children, aren't they? They're your children.
That's exactly right. Sort of got them. Keep it for the next one. Yeah. I think it flows pretty well, and I mean, you can get down to the nitty-gritty of the key of the song and the tempo of the song, but we played it to a few different people and said, what do you think? Would you rather this song at the beginning or that? And it sort of came up. Yeah,
it's interesting you say that, because like a lot of the younger, or a variety of acts we speak to is about streaming versus albums versus single drops versus EPs, and the models change for everybody. But I guess if you're traveling and playing, you've got physical media you're selling with you too, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we always had in mind that we were going to do at least a CD. Maybe we'll do a vinyl as well, but we always. There was never in doubt that we were going to do a physical CD, and we were going to do a proper gatefold. We were going to do a lyric booklet. We were going to have good photos. It was just important to us, and I'm not ashamed to say that's the era I've come from, and I love that. I love a sleeve, I love an album sleeve, and I'm just really, really pleased to see the resurgence in vinyl, and that people are finally getting to hear music as they should hear it, in good quality. I mean, I don't think people really understand how much time actually spend as a band getting the songs right, getting the arrangements right, and then the effort you put into actually sequencing the songs and how it will come up and what will be the best listening experience for people. And whereas
it's a journey.
You can just chucking a single and a drop and an EP, but it was always in the back of my mind that it had to be a body of work, and I'm really pleased that it's come out that way.
When it has that narrative, that makes it a little bit more makes it more substantial too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You've got to have a bit of a narrative and something to hang, I think, the concept of the album about. It's not always, but I don't know. It just happened, and the band gelled around me. And, when I first started doing demos for the band, I'd present them with a complete demo. I'd do everything in my home studio, the drums, everything. Now that we've grown as a band, I'm more comfortable to just take more bare bones demo and say, now, what do you think you can put in keyboards there? How would you do the bass line in here? What harmonies do you guys want to put on this? And really, the recording experience with Rod McCormack really, really helped our band gel like that. He really showed us what we could do. He really gave us belief in that we could do 3-part harmonies, and we do complicated arrangements, but still have an accessible song. And I guess that's the hallmark of a really good producer.
Just on the speak about the arrangements. I mean, I didn't have a chance to really listen to the whole thing today. I've been traveling today, but I listened to going back, and it's not often. I mean, I like the whole song, but it's not often I like the breakdown and the solo. I don't know if you listen to it, Rossi. I love your little chord progression in the solo. It's different to the thing, and the pedal still comes in. It's sweet.
It's just a bit. That was, I've got to give credit, that was Rod's. I did all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Rod said, I can just hear a George Harrison slide line there.
Yeah.
Exactly it. Yeah.
You do it. So you do it. I mean, you got someone like that. I mean, I'd actually been doing some laps. I play lap steel as well, and I was going to do it. And I said, look, Rod, you know what you think. Just put it down, and we'll, I'm sure it's going to be good. Exactly right. I mean, I tried to make something. You can do an instrumental, and it's playing the verse or playing the chorus, but I just wanted to change those chords a bit, and I got some unusual inversions on the guitar there. So that last chord, it's a really ringing chord, and probably it's only things that musicians pick up. But I think people actually hear it and go, that's nice. They may not understand why, but as a musician, you know why. Yeah.
Look, I don't think any record made in the last 50, 60 years can ignore that the Beatles existed.
No. I mean, people grew up in that era. I mean, that they're just the songsmith and really a lot of their arrangements is like, I was listening to the remastered version of Revolver, done Charles Martin. You listen to that, the clarity, and you can hear every instrument, and it's amazing. It's amazing.
Four track.
I know.
It's just incredible that they'll only have 2 guitars, and occasionally a tambourine will come in from Ringo, but it's all perfect. I think they're a masterclass in arranging songs.
Driving down a road that leads in from the east, wondering what they'll make of his reappearance. Shields his eyes from the glare of the sun, turns down a track that leads him along. 27 years since he left his valley home, traveling out west to make his mark alone. Does it really matter what he's seen or what he's done? If he never left this place, who knows what he'd become? He's going back to where it all began. Once a boy, now a man. Cross some lines in the sand. He's going back to where it all began.
George Martin is a masterclass in producing as well. A lot of those ideas are going to come. Not all of them, but I don't know. Producers. I just recently watched the thing on YouTube with a guy interviewing Keith Urban, and he was talking about he had a few producers.
Rick Beato.
Did you watch it?
Yeah. I love Rick.
And he was saying the first producers he had that he didn't know what they did because they had an arranger and they had the engineer and and then he got this other guy who actually came in and actually did something, you know.
It's stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I've been around bands or acts that have had real producers occasionally, and you know the difference straight away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
And I think that someone like Rob McCormack, who is a musician first and foremost, he's a writer, he's a composer, and he is a superb musician. So he knows he listens to our songs and goes, yeah, look, these are really good. And I think I get what your idea is here, and this is how I think I can help you bring it out. So yeah.
They respect the idea it's your song, and they're just polishing it, right? Adding a bit of secret sauce.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The secret sauce, yes. It's like mastering. I don't understand the mastering. And Rod says he doesn't either because his brother Jeff does that. He says, I don't know what it is. He just comes out better.
Yeah.
That's what Robbie Stanier does to the Ralmo stuff. It's like polishing a turd, though.
Yeah.
That's for you, Rob, if you're listening.
Yeah. So, David, the other thing that the album came across as quite nostalgic all the way through, but then when I'm reading some of the information that Jules sent through and the track by track, it almost feels like a bit of a journey through all the respective guitars that you played on it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I do love it. I mean, I go in there with Rod, and I just get going. It's just, we could put 12-string on this. Oh, I've got a 12-string, Rickenbacker at home. Oh, let's bring that in, and let's just put that. If you listen to that, there's a 12-string on the chorus, just doing triads along the back, and he just kept coming. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm a firm believer that the best pop songs in the world have a 12-string hidden on them somewhere. I tell you.
Yeah, beautiful.
We could start guitar nerd talk here and
we did it last time Dave was on. He's got some nice machines there.
Yeah. So the first entry of a guitar on track 3, Caroline, 58 Journeyman Strat.
Hey, I just finished up work. I spent the last 2 years working for Fender in their quality team. And like, I was always a little bit ambivalent about Strats. Yeah, like a Strat's a Strat, but now I get them. I've had a lot. I figured out while I worked there, I set up 11,000 guitars.
Oh, wow.
11,000 guitars. That's a hell of a lot of Strats, I can tell you. And I just love them. That and a Telly and a P bass. You just can't beat them.
That's a lot of little those pricks on the finger with the E string.
That's right. But a 58 Strat. Let me at it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, you just get a particular sound. That one was actually in the pick up second position, so it gives that slightly Mark Knopfler sort of gives a nice little different tone. But my main guitar now, well, it always has been, but even more I've come back to is my 67 Telecaster Special. And that guitar is just so rock solid. The neck, nothing's ever had to be done with it. It's just magnificent. And you can do so much. It can be chicken picking through to just crunching. It's amazing guitar. So that's definitely my best guitar. And actually talking about Keith, who was just recently listening to an interview with him, he's saying the same. He's come back to his old Telly. That's what he's got. He's come
Telly's.
He's come back to Telly. Yeah.
Rossi, how did Leo Fender get it so perfect?
Right, the first time. Yeah. I've got about 3 or 4 Tellys here. I just love them because they're just Swiss Army knives. You can throw anything at them and get a result, I reckon.
Yeah.
That's a much reverb, and you're just way to go.
Into a Fender. You ever seen John Five's Telecaster collection? John Five. Will he play? He's a guy who plays in Motley Crue now, but he's played in all these metal bands, but he's really a chicken picker. and that's where his background is. And you go see him play with these metal bands, and he gets a stint where he does his banjo rolls and his chicken picking. He just stand there, and he's got pretty much one of every Telecaster ever made. Wow. He's got the biggest collection of tellies in the country. And man, can he play? You watch that guy play. He's the best country player I've ever seen. John Fowler.
Sorry, Curly. We're nerding out. Yeah.
That's all right, though, because I was going to mention the black Les Paul custom that was also on Slow Lane.
I love Les Pauls.
Yeah, I mean that's I always love that. I always in my mind well, actually, that's what Mike Nesmith used to play, and he was, a forerunner of country rock, and he used to play it, clean, and of course, and I always read John Fogerty playing, custom.
Well, Les Paul himself was country, was he?
Yeah, just it's a great guitar, and I mean it is a really good guitar. You can play clean and you can play it as hard as you like. And obviously on that song that we recorded Lane, I just worked on that riff, and that riff came to me, and it just sounded great with the humbucking and the Les Paul. And I do from the Central Coast. I do a lot of driving up and down the M1 between here and Sydney, and so driving up there one day and thinking about I'm just sticking in the slow lane. Everyone's passing me because I'm sick of driving up and down here, and it just came to that idea. That stage of life. I'm happy cruising in the slow lane. I don't have to rush. But I'm retired now. I don't have to rush to work. Everyone's killing themselves to get there early. I'll just take my own time. Yeah.
Black Les Paul custom, yes, please.
Yeah. All right, Dave, we didn't tell you this, but halfway through the show now, we now stop for a bit of trivia. So Braggy does a bit of a question and answer thing, usually tailored towards the guest that we're having on.
Yeah, I've tried to, but I did do this while I was driving. So I was like saying to my wife, write this down, do that. She was getting pissed off.
So basically just pen and paper, write the answer down. We check the answers, and the aim is, because I'm hopeless at it, Rossi's excellent at it. So the key is...
It's good because this week, because usually we have a younger people on, and now we've got someone our age, so I can do the questions that,
Just off the top of your head.
Yeah. I'm going for the Rossi hairstyle tonight too.
It's good. The
three of us, we should start a band.
So,
the opposite of ZZ Top.
So, Braggy, what was the question from a couple of weeks ago about the golden guitars? When was the first golden guitar award?
Yeah, I've got it here somewhere, I think.
It was 73 the year.
It was. Hang on. Let me go back in my notes because I had to do that one on the phone as well.
Yeah.
It was. In what year was the first golden guitar awarded at the Tamworth Country Music Festival? Because it started before they didn't do it at the start. That was the first one. It was 1973. Yeah. It went to your dad. Yeah. And so
the very first golden guitar was awarded to my mother.
That's right. Yes, that's right. Sorry, George.
Riding Lights on the Hill. So it was Song of the Year, and so Joy has the honour of being the first recipient of a golden guitar.
Yeah. And okay. Slim probably won the next 32 onwards.
Did anyone say royalty?
There were six awards that night. They won.
That's right. It was a clean sweep. Okay.
All right.
It's 10 questions.
Okay.
First one. Bob Dylan's son, Jacob, had a #1 hit in 1997 with a song, One Head Light. What was the name of his band?
Tick.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm in trouble. I'm tired today and I'm in trouble.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Question 2. Whose first autobiography was entitled Sex, Thugs, and Rock and Roll, A Year in King's Cross?
Oh,
Sex, Thugs, and Rock and Roll, A Year in King's Cross. That one's right in Rossi's lap. I don't know why I did that one.
firstly, I think I know I've read it, but secondly, I've probably done that year.
Okay. Okay, here's one that goes back a bit. Which country singer had a hit in 1973 with The Gundawindi Grey, a song about legendary racehorse Gun Sind?
Oh,
I know
You
that
remember
song.
it? You remember it, eh? 1973, Gundawindi Grey. Who sang that?
I do know.
Oh my God! No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 4. As of 2024, and according to Forbes magazine, whose net worth is 2.5 billion, making them the richest musician on earth.
Net worth.
Net worth 2.5 billion.
Okay.
It's not who you think it is.
Okay, so that's just thrown me
That's
then.
4. Sorry. Question 5. Which artist's entire 1985 Live Aid set, you remember Live Aid, the concert?
Yeah.
Consisted of one single cover song. They came out, they played one song, and it was a cover. And then
And it went for 25 minutes.
No, it only went for 3 minutes.
They played one cover song.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's really cool too.
Okay.
Okay. Number 6, this one goes back. Of the 10 tracks on Skyhook's debut album, Living in the 70s, how many were banned by the Federation of Australian Broadcasters?
That's a stab in the dark.
You just like me because I'm good in bed? Smart. That's true.
Yeah. Okay. Number 7. It's a very Australian one. This
It is. It's a good one. I just wish I knew the answers.
Thank you. The B-side of Goanna's single "Let the Franklin Flow" was recorded by which former politician?
Ooh.
Oh, I'm going to have a stab. And I think I've worked with both of them.
Okay. That's sort of okay.
Okay. Number
So
8.
it's not Don Chip.
Oh, Don
Chip
Chip.
the bastard's honest. It's not Don Chip, no. No, it's pretty obvious when you think about it. Number 8. In which Australian city were the British pop duo the Eurythmics formed?
Heaven.
No, that's Eurogliders.
Oh, it is too. Eurythmics.
Eurythmics. See, they were in the tourists.
Oh.
And I reckon I got a question about that.
Okay. Okay. I'll give you an answer. I know it's controversial, Rossi.
Yeah.
But you know what city it is, don't you?
I think so.
No, you don't. Okay. Okay, number 9. Who wrote the song Red, Red Wine?
Okay. I might have got one.
Excellent. And number 10. What do Justin Timberlake, Britney Spears, and Christine Aguilera all have in common?
And it's not that they've been on The Simpsons?
No. How did I know you were going to say that, Kelly?
So Justin Timberlake,
Britney Spears, and Christine Aguilera.
Christine Aguilera.
Yeah.
Christine is not a bad singer, is she?
Oh, man. You
Man.
know that film clip when they do, or the song, when they do the old Uchi Kitchi,
Yeah, her vocal, she comes out and smokes them.
She comes out and absolutely smokes them.
Oh, Lady Marmalade, yeah.
Lady Marmalade.
Yeah, there's no bad singers in that bunch of girls. They're all killer.
But around that, she was at the peak of her game around there. That girl, what a talent!
Man.
What a talent! Yeah.
Power. Okay, you ready? Bob Dylan's son was in the band called the Wallflowers.
Wallflowers.
Well, Yep.
Got that.
Billy Thorpe is the biography. Sex,
Yeah.
Thugs, and Rock and Roll, and A Year in King's Cross. That's Billy Thorpe. The Gundy Windy
Tex
Morton.
Tex Morton, yeah.
He would have been hanging around in your childhood, Dave.
Oh yeah, well he was one of Dad's heroes. That's right. Tex was one of the very early ones. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, richest 2.5 billion. That's Jay-Z.
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 Oh,
Okay.
So I reckon he's made a lot of that from his missus.
Yeah.
yeah.
Sidelines.
Okay, number 5. Elvis Costello came out and he said, "I'm going to play an old northern folk song," and he played "All You Need Is Love" by the Beatles.
Oh.
And then because he's a Liverpudlian as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
Went off.
Good
It's pretty cool.
That's a good
Yeah.
story.
Thank
I like
you.
that.
The B-side to go out as single was recorded by Bob Brown, the former Greens leader.
Do you know that he was also the doctor who was the registrar on duty the night Hendrix died and came out and made the media announcement?
Wow, there you go.
Was he really?
Yes, he was.
Hey,
You missed the Skyhooks one.
Oh,
Here's number 6. The Skyhooks.
oh shit! Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I've never done
How
that
many-
before.
How many Skyhook songs?
6 out of the 10 were banned.
Yes,
I had 7. I had 7.
That's
I had 3. So, yeah.
The Eurythmics are said to have been formed in Wagga Wagga because they were pissed off with the other person and the tourists, and they decided in Wagga after a gig they got out a portable keyboard and they said, "That's it, we're out." And then the Eurythmics is actually, the name is from a guy from the 19th century who had some sort of music method, the Eurythmic method, to learn music.
So, see, I've heard that they actually broke up in a plane over Perth.
Right.
Yeah, but Wagga's look, if I went to Wagga with a band, I'd want to break up too.
They'd just done a gig and they were back in their hotel room. The two of them said, "Let's just be a duo because this other guy we don't like him." So,
yeah, right.
okay. Neil Diamond wrote "Red Red Wine."
All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Finally.
And all those 3 singers, Justin Timberlake, Britney Spears, and Christina Aguilera, were in the Mickey Mouse Club.
The Mickey Mouse Musketeers.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll put you out of your misery. I got 1.
Curly. That's even bad for you.
I'm getting worse at this.
I reckon Rossi's done.
I reckon Dave's got. I don't think he's done
trouble.
me. He's done good. They're good questions tonight, Bragg. He did good.
Thank you. What'd you get, Rossi?
7.
Dave?
7.
Oh, another tie. That's the second tie. He still hasn't been beaten. That's the second tie, though. Well done, Dave.
Oh, very good. I was very concerned because I know Dave knows his stuff, right?
Yeah. Been around a bit.
Yeah. When he said, "Oh, yeah," so there's a George Harrison lick on that slide. I've gone, "Oh, here we go.
Here we go. All right, Dave, I'm going to ask you a question about the album. What is your sentimental favorite song on the album? Without being, what is the one that you truly love to play?
What's your favorite child? Who's your favorite child, Dave?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it does change. Look, it was initially A Life Well Lived, but it is going back. I really think that's grown as a song. It's like a soundscape. I think it's almost like it's like a soundtrack to a film clip to me. The lyrics are there, someone driving back, and that the way the arrangement and the song has come together, it's so cinematic. I really, really love it. Yeah.
It sounds like it needs a film clip, though.
Yes, that's right. I mean, we've been doing film clips, and they're expensive, and there's not a lot of places that get played.
Yeah.
I must. We're sort of caught in a rock and a hard place with going back. We could have done a great film clip for it, but we did decide to do it. We are going to do one for The Flood, which is probably my other favourite song on the album, because the first time I really sat down to write about a particular issue that had come up, which was obviously the devastating floods a couple of years back up and down the eastern seaboard. But obviously Lismore is what stood out to a lot of people. I knew someone there who had, this lady had trained under me as an emergency medicine specialist and was involved in Lismore Hospital. So she wrote an article for our college magazine, which I read and I hadn't talked to Anne for a couple of years. And so I rang her and we were on the phone for an hour and she was just telling me about the experiences of not only working in the hospital, but just as a person going through the trauma of the flood. And so I really sat down to try and pace out the three verses, like the beginning, which is the foreboding of the clouds coming, the rain, are we going to get flooded? The aftermath of the devastation of when it's happened, and then the frustration that happens when you're trying to move on and get going in life, and the anger that understandably occurs. And this is a song that really, I had it very much in my head what I wanted, and we were struggling to get it right.
Yeah.
And I kept saying, and I'm not worried because I think this is going to come together in the studio. And we had worked on it a lot. And it really, and we came into the studio and Rod got it. And I got to give credit to player Glenn Willie. He said, what we need is fiddle. We need violin on it. It just needs that sound. He actually wrote the introduction on his synthesizer. And the fiddle player we got is a lady called Louise. And she is the gun fiddle player in country music at the moment. She plays in a bluegrass duo called Wickersweet. She plays with the Blackers and she plays with anyone, and she is amazing. She's classically trained but plays bluegrass country. And so she came in and did what Glenn had written for the intro, and then we just said, we just want you to go for it. And the solo that she does in that is it's just amazing. It's just so uplifting, and she just could let her hair down literally and just play what she wanted to play, and it just lifts the song to another level.
By the river, learned how to read the weather, listen to the old folk stories. How once in a lifetime the floodplains would flow like spilled wine, turn into an inland sea. And I see a storm brewing, bringing flood and ruin once again to this country. The water keeps on rising, spreading up to the far horizons, about as far as I can see. Well, that was then, and this is now. The world is changing, and how? It's not the same as before. The future's knocking at your door. Our homes are steeped in mud.
Excellent. One song I do want to talk about is Big Sky.
Yeah.
It's quite a contrast to the album's a really easy flow, and it's just an album that I put on in the car yesterday on the way to work, and it's just, there's nothing confrontational about it. It's not slapping me in the face. It's just a really nice listen.
It's Big Sky, isn't it?
Yeah, Big Sky gets a bit. It's almost like the dark song in the. It is the way that I'm, because I had to check to see that I was still on your album, because it is quite a different.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit of an outlier, and I wanted to. I mean, the lyrics fit the album. The music is different. I agree, and this is a song that went through a few changes because I originally wrote it. I live at north of Oka on the Central Coast, and I got a sea kayak, and I head out in the morning, and it was the sunrise and the big ocean sort of horizon, and it just the lyrics weren't coming together. I had the music, and then in COVID, my son lives in Adelaide, Braggy, and I had to get to Adelaide, and I couldn't go through Victoria because it was closed, so we went via Broken Hill, and we were driving through those amazing big, fields of canola and the big horizons and the sun, and I totally rewrote the lyrics with that, and I was just trying to get the feeling of being out. I love being out in the country. I love the expanse. I love nothing better than being in the outback, and which is obviously my upbringing. So, and I wanted to get that feeling in the song, which is why I'm playing a lot of delay and echo on the Strat, and getting that. And then I really wanted it to build, and I just came up with the idea of a couple pretty well escaping from their city life and looking towards moving to somewhere like Broken Hill, where the horizons are bigger and their life opportunities are bigger. And I wanted it to build up to that instrumental. And when the guitar solo came, Rod said to me, who are you channeling? What are you channeling? And I said, I'm channeling Dave Gilmour from Pink Floyd. I said, I want to hit a button, and I just want it to go bang up like that big sound. And that's what we were aiming for in the solo. And so, yes, not your average country rock sort of touchstones, I agree.
Underneath a big sky, the clouds fly by, the road rolls on as far as you can see. Ahead the dawn is breaking as the world awakens. Lights a fuse above me, there's fire in the sky. You and I under a big sky.
And then you got the rockabilly of Hoot Nanny.
Yeah, well, see, that's my mate Ian Rhodes. So he wrote that song, and Ian's got a very quirky sense of lyrics and songs.
Yeah,
and,
the lyrics are good.
They're very out there. And he had that song around. That's actually the song we recorded with Matt Fell, because we went down there for Ian's 60th birthday. He showed himself and us to a recording session with Matt, and that we recorded 2 songs, of which that was one. And we just brought back in this album, remixed it, and added a few vocals and stuff. But yeah, it's a rockabilly song.
Jimmy the tranny, we're gonna party
And we've got another good rockabilly song, and I don't really know how to get on the album because it's called Two Tone Pony. It's how we got the name for the band.
Oh yeah.
And didn't quite. I don't know. It'll certainly be forthcoming, but yeah, I love that. And again, the nerdy part of that was that that guitar and the solo. I have my father had a guitarist called Barry Thornton. Played with Dad. He invented the bush ballad style of playing electric guitar, and he played through a Gibson E3355, and but he played through this Fender Bandmaster. I think it's about 64, and I've got that Bandmaster, and I've had it totally redone with the appropriate valves and everything. I recorded that solo with a Gresh 6120 through that Bandmaster.
I don't know the Bandmaster. I don't know that amp.
Yeah. Well, it's a head and a cabinet, a big cabinet, and it's back in the day, and it's I was just playing it the other night. Actually, I just you'll enjoy this, Rossi. I just plugged my tape directly into it. No.
Yeah.
And what a sound! Like it's gutsy. It's got this little growl underneath, but it's clear. It's just gorgeous.
Is it what is it? 410 cabinet, 210? What is the cabinet?
It's a 210.
210s.
Yeah.
Or 212.
It's probably big.
I think our old mate Maz had one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He had a blonde.
But you're just not. Yeah, this is a blonde, and it just you can't lug it around. And but I went into the recording studio, and Matt said, "Oh no, I've got all these. We can just simulate it all."
No.
Rossi, Mazawak would have blown that one up quick.
No, he didn't actually.
Oh, didn't he?
Did not. No, he didn't actually. But he did blow up a few before we found one that worked properly. That's another story. But he loved it.
Absolutely.
But like if you've got equipment like that, you take it to the studio because it is too precious to take on the road.
Yeah. It's a bit of another touchstone, and but so that's it. The rockabilly song of Hoot and Annie. I mean, it's a crowd favourite. We keep it at the end of the set. People love getting out and dancing to it, and Ian is just a fantastic way with words, and just his imagery is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. David, congratulations on the album. We all, as you know, country's not necessarily the genre that we grew up with, but we're certainly getting a great appreciation for it with some of the great guests. And mate, your album's pretty bloody good. So the last thing that I just want to mention is in your first song on the album, the Going Back. I reckon there's parts where your vocals are very similar to your dad's.
Yeah. But congratulations for. I mean, it must be tough too. Coming from a musical family to get out there and do your own thing. So
you always going to.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I made it very clear from the start. For people, I mean, that I appreciate them, with their love for Slim and for Joy, and I'm flying up to Gympie tomorrow, the Gympie Music Festival tomorrow, and I'm doing a set up there with Anne, my sister, and they're doing a tribute, set there to Slim and Joy with a lot of different artists, and I'll always continue to do that. But obviously what I do is slightly different. I've got 1 foot in the country camp, 1 foot in the rock camp, and this is how it comes together for me.
Yeah.
And what Slim and Joy always said to me, and they've said to all young artists that they fostered, was that be true to yourself. Don't try to be what people think you should be. Don't try and please everybody. Be true to what you want to do. And if you do that well, only got to tick off the people they took on tour with them, and that was a young Keith Urban, a young, they took Casey Chambers, they took Lee Kirkman, they took Troy, they took Becky Cole. They knew the people that were, and they just told them, be true to yourself. And all those people say the same thing. Yeah, that they took that advice on as well.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
Awesome. Fantastic, man. It's like, to be part of a family of such national treasures must be a real honor.
Yeah, it is. And it's something that Anne and I are very aware that people still have a great affection and that for Slim and Joy, and we want to be able to keep that connection going. We are. We're going to keep the. We oversee the recordings that they've done. We oversee any re-releases. We oversee the museum up in Kempsey. So we want to do the right thing by the legacy of them and keep growing, and always new people coming in and discovering it. It's amazing. Yeah.
Fantastic. Excellent. David, we'll make sure all your links are in the show notes, but highly recommend a listen of Born on the Road, so by Two Tone Pony. Before we sign off, Rossi, I've got to ask, do you have a backstage story for us, mate?
Well, it's kind of one, and I thought of it when David was talking to me. David was talking earlier. I was working with Mick Madew, and we're up in Townsville. We played at James Cook University.
Yes.
And we had to drive back to Sydney because we were playing on a Thursday night, I think, and we were playing St. George Budapest Club in Mortdale on the Sunday. So we got in the truck and we finished at James Cook University, and someone gave us something, and we had a smoke of something, and we got a little confused, right? We got a little confused.
Surely not from James Cook Uni in town.
Yeah, we got a little bit confused. So we've packed the truck really rapidly, and we've head off to Sydney. Like bang! It's like I can't remember how many hours it was straight, but it was pretty chaotic. And we've got there, and we've arrived at the gig, and bumped in. I've pulled out the guitar road case and realised I'd sent them all down on their heads. Right, instead of putting them in on the body, and I pulled out Mick's black Les Paul Custom, and I was tuning it right, and it was slipping, it's slipping. I ran my hand up the back of a Les Paul neck, and what happens to Les Pauls, right?
Right on
that fulcrum, bang. Yeah. And so I had to hide it from him until I could get it to his house and explain it to him. I gave him the Telecaster, and I was just hoping that he just didn't snap a string and wanted a spare. I'm like, and so, I've gone, Mick, I've got some really fucking terrible news for you, mate. I've got some really, really, really bad news. He goes, what is it, Peter? I go, well, mate, it's like this. And when I've spoken to him about it since, he was really good about it. But he said it's more rock solid now than it was before, and that's what happens to Gibsons, basically,
Oh,
but like, he's a good man, because I thought he was going to kill me.
What if you'd done that to Mazaway?
I wouldn't be here.
Yeah,
I would not be here. But yeah, it was a Les Paul packed in the case upside down, and my heart, I felt sick. Sick. Yeah. But he forgave me because he's a good bloke.
Yeah, he's a lovely fellow. Yeah.
All I'm thinking about is that's one hell of a hike from Townsville to Sydney. So on the road.
So you played the big room there too. That it's really boomy, isn't it?
It is.
James Cook,
yeah.
And glass on the sides.
Yeah.
Glass on the sides.
I remember.
And
the bass player was from there, so his whole family came in.
Oh, okay.
And it was really loud because we had this giant. We had a double four-way in those days, and it was like
I
Led
saw
Zeppelin loud.
the Hoodoo Gurus there.
Yeah,
that room that was so loud.
Yeah,
it's
good, good, isn't it?
I saw Painters and Dockers there.
Oh,
and
chaotic.
That was chaotic. All right. So, David, thanks so much for joining us tonight. As I said,
My
we
pleasure.
will add your songs to the Unfiltered Undiscovered playlist on Spotify, and your links will be in the show notes. For everyone else, if you've enjoyed this episode, please leave a review. We're on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. We've got a website, unfilteredundiscovered.com. And of course, if you want to listen to any of the music that we've talked about in our almost 160 episodes, our Spotify playlist is now in the realms of 380 songs. So it's a great place to discover some great music. So as always, every episode has a bit of an Easter egg at the end. So make sure you stay till the end and listen all the way through. And how good was Mother Goose, ladies and gentlemen? So I will. Thanks, David. See you all next week.
Thank you very much. Great to see you. Great to chat. Bye, guys.
Thanks, mate.
See you later.
Had a little song entitled Baked Beans. I was feeling a little bit hungry just yesterday morning, so I thought maybe I better head round the old local supermarket just to check out the baked bean situation. So I headed up round the local supermarket, went through the front doors, and there, over to my right, standing by the baked bean stand, was a really cool-looking little chick. So I thought I might just have to very casually and calmly wander over her direction and say something classic to her like, "Hi there." So I just very casually and inconspicuously wandered over her direction. I sidled up to her and I said, "Hi there, my name's Craig and I sing up front for Mother Goose." And she said, "I've never heard of you." So I thought it was about time I just have to use my old line on her. So I got on my tiptoes and whispered into her ear, "How about we head back round to your pad for some baked beans on toast?" Never fails, you know. Mind you, I've always been a bit of a good looker with all the girls and everything. Anyway, by this time, she just couldn't resist me anymore, so she says, "Okay, big boy." She took me out of the supermarket, down the main street, round the corner, and back to her pad. Through the front door, down the hallway, into the kitchen, to a great big plate of them good old, rich, red and saucy baked beans, yes! Running down my cheeks, down my shirt, across my feet. Baked beans in my hair. Baked beans everywhere, yes. Then we got married, and it was really beautiful. And the next morning she brought me in baked beans in bed. Yeah.
Baked beans are baked beans. 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 Yip yip yippee-i-o. Yip yip yippee-i-o. Yip yip yippee-i-o. Yip yip yippee-i-o. Yip 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 yippee-i-o kayak.
Today I was at work and we did 5 hours of Chinese opera.
Oh, a shamisen? Did it have a shamisen?
No. It was. It looked to be. It used to be Chinese opera's greatest hits today, and they were karaokeing it
Oh no!
They did have an orchestra. It was, but like they were doing like excerpts from Chinese operas, and I think each excerpt went for about 45 minutes.
Wow!
And they were like, completely costumed. And I was operating fly bars.
And what did you learn today?
I learned that it's a very long day to be listening to Chinese opera for 5 hours.
David, you haven't met Rossi because Rossi wasn't around on our previous episode. So, Rossi, meet Dave.
Oh, Dave, how are you, mate?
I made the mistake, Rossi, of going to the Japanese opera, kabuki or whatever they call it in Japan.
Yeah.
The same thing. Sat there for like, we didn't last. We were just 3 hours of just, we couldn't understand obviously anything that was going on.
I guess if it's in Italian or if it's in French, you got some chance. German, you got some chance. Yeah.
Well, what it was, I was with the other tech there. I was saying to him, I was making up my own stories and telling him this is what I think it meant. Right. so there's this sort of like singing with this young girl, and I'm going, look, she doesn't want him to go with his boyfriend. That like this is her dad, and it's all that. And so then I've bailed up one of the organisers and said, okay, what's this one about? Yeah. He goes, well, she's a nun.
Right.
Oh, gotcha.
Funny. It was funny.
Yeah, because that's like with Italian stuff, it's always the same as well. There's always someone jilted. There's always a jilted lover. Yeah. So it's kind of easy to,
Yeah.
That's cool.